Throughout the development of the International 14 Series combines, when I was working on the headers, I had to learn a little bit about how to make the flex headers actually float with the ground. Because a flex header isn't a good flex header if it's not floating against the ground. Because beans like to do what they want. Now, unfortunately, within the game, you can't really edit this feature with a knob like you would in real life in the combine. You actually have to script the thing. So, throughout the information that I've learned throughout this development process, I decided to make a video about my findings because I know that some people wanted me to teach them how to make their heads float. And I know that there's been people out there who want to make their combines' heads float because there's a lot of combines out there that don't. And I think that's kind of stupid. So, that's what I'm here to teach today. First off, we want to analyze our combine and see if we can get the lower and upper distance to ground. If we switch over to the XML real quick, we will see in the XML distance to ground, lower and upper. You can see these two numbers right here. These are the numbers that we're going to want to edit. So if we go back in the game here and we find vehicle analyze, this is what we're going to need to find the actual values. Now, do note the combine has to be on a level surface. That's what this little plate is right here. All you got to do is just use the leveling tool. It's pretty simple. So, use vehicle analyze and just tap that. Okay, my blinker's on. Okay. Okay, that was weird. Anyway, if you look, you have issue found. And it concerns attacher joint 1. We have wheel stuff going on here. Ignore that for the minute. Disclaimer, this is my way of doing this. I'm not going to cover almost everything, but this should work. I'm trying to find a space where you can look at this. Alright, so attacher joint 1 has a valid upper distance to ground. The true value is 1.87. So we're going to want to take this and go into the XML and 1.87. Okay, we go back in the game here and we have lower distance to ground 0.9. Alright, go back into the XML and do 0.9. Save this, bring her back in the game, and we're going to want to reload this vehicle. Ignore all the wheel shape indexes. I'm not really sure how to deal with that. I've had issues with that before. Boom, gone. So that's the first step in trying to get your combine right. Now, I do want to say I haven't really noticed a whole lot of interference whenever it comes to distance to ground. I just try to have it the right number just in case. I don't really know what it does. As I said in the disclaimer, this is my way of doing things. So, let's go over to our header and stick her on. It's also the first video preview of these combines. Alright, get this reel out of the way. And we want to find the vehicle debug. We're going to want to turn this on. So, just go ahead and enter that in. And it'll bring up a bunch of little hoopla stuff. But what we're concerned with is the attributes. If you look on the bottom of your screen, it'll have Shift 4, Shift 5, Shift 6. What we want is Shift 5 to find the attributes. And these are all the attributes that are associated with the combine concerning work areas, collisions, any AI nodes, all the fun stuff like that. But what we're concerned with right now is our height node. You're going to want your height node to be somewhere within the cutter bar area, and it's different for every header. If we go into the header I3D here, we have our height node within our work area. As I said, it's different with every header. It could be in the attacher joint, could be in PTO, hell, it could even be in visuals. I don't know. I don't make everybody's headers. But we're concerned with this. And in the XML, your height node reference should be an input attach joint. Yeah, if it's there, you're all set to go. If you ever need to, like if you want your header to maybe go down a little more or go up a little more after you do this whole process. Just you can just move it up and down. It's pretty simple like that. So the next thing we are concerned with is, if you look in the middle of the screen, you have 1.2144 attacher joint. That is a big thing within this whole header flex process. I guess I really shouldn't say flex, it more just floats with the ground. But flex was the first word I found, so we're going to stick with it. What that attacher joint is indicating is that is going to be the tilt of the header. If we go into the XML real quick of the in the combine, and you see joint position offset, we're just gonna create a little scenario. I had to go through this whole process myself. If we have the joint position offset as 0, 0, 0, and we go ahead and save that, go back in the game and reload this thing, you can see that our attacher joint has moved to where the attacher joint is. And this is not right, because if we, hopefully I can try and make this as easy as I can. Okay, this isn't working out as I thought it would. Basically what this thing is doing is that the header is going to tilt at that pivot point, and it'll just look like the bottom of the header is just coming off the feeder house. It doesn't even look like there's any links that are hooked up to the feeder house. It's just setting on the feeder house, if that's one way to put it. So how you find this is you got to go into your Combine i3D, and as you can see I already have a transform in here, and you want to bring it in to your attacher joint rot and just kind of zero it out a little bit. You don't need to worry about rotation, you only need to worry about translation. Hey, that rhymes. And once you find the center point rot of the attacher joint, you want to bring it into the attacher joint itself, and you got to find the difference. Now the numbers that you are going to be concerned with is your translation of X and Y. And basically how this goes is that your Y, of course, is going to go in the middle numbers here, but your X is going to go in the Z place, basically the third number from the left. Why I say this is that in the majority of combines, actually I think every combine, I think you have to do this, the attacher joint is rotated to where the X-axis is the, how do I want to word this, the Z-axis. Like, you see how that X is pointed up there? That means if this goes back and forth, it's going to reference the X-axis. But in reality, the Z-axis is what's making this going back and forth. Basically, all I'm saying is that you want your X-axis from here, your translation X, to go in the third number slot. And we save that, and we go back in game here. Let me change my screen. Reload this. Bada bing, bada boom. Your attacher joint is now rotating off of your feeder house axis. I do want to note another thing. As I said in the disclaimer, this is the Jaden way of doing it, or the JCL way. Call it whatever you want. I do not know how to find the distance to ground of your header, nor have I found any way to... No, I guess I shouldn't say any way. It's really just... I haven't seen anything that affects this. If I change these numbers, I think it's still going to have the same outcome. But I'm not going to play with it right now because it works as is. So, once you have all those three things down, for the most part, your height node should be in the right spot. And if everything goes right, you should be pretty well set. If we lower down this header, you can see that the distance is like 0.1. But the concern is that it floats with the ground. And we're just going to go over my little test thing here. And turn off vehicle debug because we don't need this anymore. We just slowly go over it, and you can see that header kind of floats with the ground. There we go. That's a good side. Yeah, that's how you do it. And really, the same process is the same for every header out there, but you can still play with the height node. I'm going to show you here. Let's take, for example, this rigid header, this 810 rigid header. This header does not need to float with the ground, as it's a rigid header. It's only meant for cereal crops, which don't need cut all the way to the ground. And as you can see, I set my height node farther down so it can go up more. And I know it doesn't really work with every foliage, because I know that there's Sirius's mods straw that have it set up properly, but it's different for everything. And same goes for the pickup head. This goes down to the perfect height, and same goes for the corn head. It doesn't take me forever to back up to it. Yep, height node for every header, have it at the perfect height. I do want to discuss one single thing. I know that Farming Simulator has a new level function, or a header tilt function, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the header tilts along the ground itself, like it doesn't just go up and down, it actually tilts. But I didn't do that for this combine because this combine doesn't have header tracker. I think that's what KSIH called it. This is 14 combine. They didn't have header tracker until the late 16 combines, if I'm correct. But that's how you do this. If any of you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, it's best if you reach out to me on my Discord. You can find me in the fuck, that's a tongue twister. You can find me in the Deniz modding group Discord along the lines of JCL, or really any other way you can contact me through Discord. I do want to make the note that if you try and reach out to me through Messenger, there's probably a good chance that I will not answer, because I'm just lazy like that, because I'm human, unfortunately. So, I hope this tutorial helped you guys, and I'll see you guys later.